Multi-day ranges and the power of retesting lows and highs. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is a quick back to basics on the power of multi-day ranges and retesting. This is a topic that a lot of folks struggle with, especially when they are swing trading, sometimes even day trading. The expectation of V bottoms, V tops, and just the mindset of one touch and go. This is why people who trade options typically get destroyed, hurt pretty badly from holding options, and why a lot of people who, I would say, get into trading expecting immediate action every time they make an action struggle. Think about how the brain works here. Ideally, we get into a trade. What happens? It goes in our favor immediately. That's what we want to believe. But the reality is that that is not how this works. If it does, it'd say 1, 2 out of 10 times. Sometimes like this up here, but more times than not, you have a little higher high maybe, and then a retest, or it's the multi-day range retest setup. And one of the things I always tell people, the first bottom, the first top, typically some sort of pop back. And anyway, I mean, if you're newer to the channel, there's tons of educational videos about this stuff. But I want to dig deep into this because a lot of people, I think, apologize for my congestion, have this mindset that this is how it has to work out. And every time this is what's going to happen. And I'm going to make $1 million on every trade and everything's going to be great. That's just not how it is. So let's talk about the SPY. And let's talk about multi-day ranges. So one of the things that sometimes you see I would say multi-day ranges are usually not inflection points, but continuation. But they can be like this, where this is an inflection point. It's just multiple days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, right? Hard. Here you go. Multi-day range of a low. You see how you have all these wicks here touching. Usually 2 or 3 days is the max, but sometimes you get this, which this is extremely frustrating. But 2 or 3 days is typically the range. Notice how all the opens are approximately same spot. You go a little below it. You could also say around 373 becomes the day lows, and knows what happens. It bounces back. Then it goes higher. Here's another multi-day range coming off of the lows. You can see the resistance is the old support zone, 2 days. This one was tricky. Open high, close low, then boom, went higher. 2-day range here, pulls back. Point being, 2 days, 2 to 3 days. Typically continuation moves, right? 2 to 3 days, pops, couple days, chop. It's never as easy as you want to think. And this is why I always tell people, play the guess the next candle game. Because if you can get really good at that, trading just gets much easier. And even as someone who's been doing this a long time, you got to be patient. And sometimes you don't know why the market goes sideways. Maybe it's anticipating some sort of news, like later in the week, for example. It's right now October 11th, 2022. The CPI is coming out. Maybe the jobs number 1 month. Maybe a Fed meeting. All these little things come into play. Here you go, multi-day range. Looks below it, closes above it, pops, comes back above, then goes lower. Now again, this is in a bear market. Let's zoom to an easier time. This is a bull market. And this is probably where you're going to see typically easier multi-day ranges. But here you go, even at lows, retesting. You see this? Retesting. Here you go, multi-day low, retest. See how that works? I mean, just a bottom. Here you go, in a continuation move. 2 days, equal bottom, continues higher. At the high, 2 days, multiple highs. Equivalent highs. You're starting to see a pattern here. Here you go, on a bottom, you get a retest later, and this is a month later. This happens a lot, y'all. I'm just telling you, like a lot of people expect everything. Here you go, here's a retest followed by 2 weeks later. The point of talking about retests is you have to be just thoughtful of this stuff, because to trust a move without a retest, it happens. Like, here you go. Here's, this is pow, pops back. Goes down, 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 right? Here at the highs, choppy, very tight action. I mean, this was COVID, if I remember correctly, where we're at on the charts. Yeah, you just don't know anything for certain, right? But you're looking at probabilities and you go, here you go, a chop bottom, a retest, and then a retest, right? I mean, I talk about retests all the time, and this is one that it pops, you didn't get back. So you don't know for sure, but if you start looking through the charts and you play guess the next candle, I guess in a bull market when you get these extremes and you get 9 red days in a row, well, maybe it does. Hopefully that this is making sense. The retest probabilities, it's always strong. So let's go back to the current times because I think this is what people are most interested in at this moment. Not about me babbling about retest, multi-day ranges, because that's playing into currently what I'm anticipating right now. So I've said, and again, I have this all in orange. I think right now we are in this equivalent setup. Now I know the candles aren't the same. That's fine. But here you go. S&P drops SPY approximately 80 points. Do the math. 430, almost to 350, approximately 80 points. At the lows, what did you have? A pop and a retest, then a pop. After a big down move. This trap led to the washout capitulation. Right now, everybody's bearish. At the lows, you're getting a retest. Here it is. Well, how does that play with retest? Well, here you go. Like, this is where it gets real simple. Now people always say, but it's making a lower low. It's a doji, right? Talk about dojis. Go check what they are. They're indecision candles. They're not continuation candles. So you need more information. We'll see what happens. As of right now, the futures are rising. We'll see. But here you go. Here's a multi-day range, right? A 3-day range high. Now look at the wicks. Meant to trap, right? This popped up on news. This was, I think, CPI data that took us down. But notice along the way, right? You get retests, multi-day ranges. 2-day range, boom. 3-day range, right? Here you go. 3-day range. This is what gets so difficult. I mean, I wish I could explain to people who sit around all day and day trade and go A to B, 0.7 seconds. Like, we got to get there now. No, but here, in the never-ending game of retest. But then even in, like, say, a stronger stock, I'm going to pull one out. Say, CF. Where is my friend CF? Why can't you find it? No, here you go. CF Industries. The king of retesting, right? Retest. Little higher high, retest head and shoulder. Now you get the blow off, right? Remember the novice gap. Now, if I'm saying novice gap, anything in this video that you do not know, I guarantee you I've done a video on it. Novice gap, professional gap, multi-day range, 3-day range, gaps and goes. 3-day range goes a little higher. This is now a multi-day range where it gets a little trickier. But then you saw multi-day ranges here earlier. If the move is about to capitulate to the upside, which I think it is, this action can actually help wash out weak hands. You have to remember that the market the goal is to make moves that put people in a position to chase. They're out of position, essentially, right? So when you see that, and you see people, and you can tell sentiment is just kind of getting whacked out, usually the market's about to do the opposite, especially when sentiment's wild in one direction. Like now. I'm trying to find like a nice little 2-day pattern. I've been saying 2 days, but it just looks like it doesn't always happen like that. You get these multi-day patterns in between a trend. Here's essentially a multi-day, 2-day range. Let's just bottom line it, though. I don't want to just ramble on. Just expect retests and multi-day ranges. And here's the thing. What happens? Why would you not get a retest? Why? What are the factors that lead to lack of retest? Straight line moves, right? Stretching something way too fast, way too far. Exhaustion gaps, novice gaps, right? Stretch, novice gap, fail, right? Extremes. Big cam, look at that candle range, 428 to 410. 18 S&P points. It's a big day. Pretty sure that's when the VIX peaked, which is ironic because it's coming off the highs. Multi-day, chop action, retest, multi-day. Trader's market. What do you expect down here? Again, I expect this thing to pop. And when it does, look for the repeating pattern. Maybe it gets stuck going into the midterm election. Maybe it gets stuck going into OPEX where there's nominally trillion plus puts outstanding. And I'm talking about like a trillion puts, not $1 trillion worth of puts. $1 trillion worth of puts. That's pretty crazy, not trillion puts. I don't think there's that much liquidity. But what do you think? If you're watching this, do you go, all right, game over, or why did it doji retest the lows? These are things you got to ask yourself. In trading, you ultimately find yourself, and this is why I try not to ever get too high, try not to ever get too low. Gains are not real until realized. You know, like you get excited about gains. Well, it's easier when things are trending higher. This is where I get excited about we played a little pop. This is where I get super excited. And I'm, again, trying to stay humble and calm. This is where I get excited. If I get the retest and we hold, think about how the market reacts. When you get multi-day ranges and retest, it leads to bigger moves, especially when it's exhaustion, right? Here you go. Here's your retest at the highs. And then it pulls back bigger, right? Double top, double bottom, double top, double bottom, chop top, double bottom. You see the pattern here? This is the thing about trading. If you can't wrap your head around that, then swing trading will always be difficult. That's why I always talk about the first entry into a trade is a layer in. The first pop is usually taking some profits. Or you have to give yourself ample, and when I say ample, as much time as you think you might need and more, to ride out a possible retest, a higher low, or a multi-day range. And what if it turns into a multi-week range? Like nothing, everything repeats, right? There's not just one chart, right? Like they're all repeating patterns. And this is what's kind of crazy. If you go check out the monthly on the IWM, check this out, y'all. This is going to boggle minds. Look what the top was like for IWM. Chop, 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 pop, fail. Look at this. Top. And then so, it's kind of funny how you bring this up and you just go onto a tangent and keep talking for like 3 more seconds. That same formation, now what? For solar. Chop, 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 top, fail. And again, I'm looking to short solar, and we took the trade up here, took some off down in the point of control. Didn't get all of it. Not surprised. But if this thing pops back up, you've got to retest. Do you see how retest becomes so it can really confirm? Because not only are you seeing this, everyone else in the world is seeing this. And if everybody else is starting to get antsy and you don't make new highs, well, keep in mind, not everyone, but if people were buying in these price ranges and they think the trend is over, they're going to be more likely to liquidate once it confirms with retests and chop, multi-day ranges. Here you go. 2-day multi-day range comes right back to the top. All right. Hope this helps. Please subscribe. Check us out on Twitter. If you have any questions, the Discord room is open to folks who are in the process of studying and getting better. When the teacher's ready, the student appears. I really want to help people who want help. Not just, hey, what's the answer? What's the market going to do tomorrow? That kind of mentality in trading puts you at the disadvantage. It makes you reliable on me or someone else. The goal is for you to be self-sufficient. Hope this helps. I mean, it really is a process. Talk to you later.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.